All here is driven by an insentient will, thus fallen, inconscient, frustrate, dense, inert, sunk into inanimate and torpid drowse, earth lay, a drudge of sleep, forced to create by a subconscient yearning memory left from a happiness dead before she was born, an alien wonder on her senseless breast.
Oh,
Oh, I read so badly.
yeah. so, so this will that doesn't have any sentience at all
Mm,
is driving everything here on the earth.
mm.
And therefore, thus fallen, inconscient, frustrate, dense, inert. What?
How do we read that like in the meter, that line with all the commas?
Sure. Thus fallen, inconscient, frustrate, dense, inert. So
Okay.
you have an anapest there.
Mm.
Da da da. Yeah, thus fallen, thus
Inconscious.
fallen in. So
Con-
it's thus fallen in
okay.
as one beat.
Uh-huh.
Thus fallen inconscient.
Mm,
So you see my hand beating down. Thus
yeah.
fallen inconscient,
Mm-hmm.
frustrate, dense, inert. Those three are easy. But the
Okay.
antipest is that 3 and 1 that
Uh-huh.
poets often have to use
Mm.
when they don't want an extra beat in the line.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so everything is fallen, it's inert, it's dense, it's sunk into inanimate.
Mm-hmm.
Inanimate is spiritless or dull here,
Mm-hmm.
figuratively. Torpid is Torpid is benumbed or deprived of the power of motion.
Mm-hmm.
That's something, torpid drowse, sort of benumbed drowse. Therefore, earth lay a drudge. A drudge is an interesting word because it's like a laborer or a
Mm-hmm.
slave, a
Mm-hmm.
drudge of sleep, forced to create what? By a subconscious yearning memory, and we've done subconscious many times,
Yeah.
left from a happiness dead before she was born, an alien wonder on her senseless breast. So this is all about the earth and what it has gone through,
Mm-hmm.
and what we have to go through also, because then Sri Aurobindo is going to tell us this beautiful lines, I should say, this Maya.
This mire must harbor the orchid and the rose. From her blind, unwilling substance must emerge a beauty that belongs to happier spheres.
And here we can feel Sri Aurobindo's statement, the earth was born for bliss, not
Mm-hmm.
for sorrow.
Yeah.
So it's very clear. This
Mm.
mire, mud, must harbor the orchid and the rose. And this beauty has to emerge that belongs to happier spheres.
Mm-hmm.
And right now we're seeing with the attempted assassination on Trump, the the height of the dark forces attempt to
Mm.
disrupt the supermental.
Yeah.
They will fail, there's no doubt, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a tough time. I was meeting with Sadhana
Mm.
yesterday, and I'd like you to come with me on her birthday, the 27th.
I'll do that. Yes.
It's a Thursday.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, and it would be nice. And she's 2 years younger than me.
Mm.
He says, and 2 days a little shorter.
Yeah.
So this beauty that belongs to happier spheres is going to happen. And it
Mm.
doesn't really matter how long.
Yeah.
Because even Sri Aurobindo said maybe 300 years he'd come back in the supermental body.
Mm-hmm.
And Mother says, I'm making the supermental body now.
Mm-hmm.
It tells us that. It tells Satram that. So it's going to happen,
Yeah.
and we just have to bear with it, and we have to unite together
Mm.
as disciples all over the world. So I believe that the Shraddhalu will be back also on the
Yes.
25th. So
Okay.
we'll be there 2 days before her birthday.
Mm.
Okay, so let's continue.
This is the destiny bequeathed to her.
Bequeathed.
Bequeathed. Okay. This is the destiny bequeathed to her, as if a slain god left a golden trust to a blind force and an imprisoned soul.
Now that's a very interesting 3 lines because bequeathed means handed down or passed on.
Mm-hmm.
So it's what is this destiny that's bequeathed to her? It's sort of as if, and here's Sri Aurobindo in the as if again,
Mm.
as if a slain god left a golden trust. Now that's interesting because he doesn't say a slain god left it. It's
Mm-hmm.
he's giving us a symbol, a vision of what it's sort of like that this golden trust is left to a blind force,
Mm.
an imprisoned soul. And that's why he and Mother came to break that. So let's carry on.
An immortal Godhead's perishable parts she must reconstitute from fragments lost, revered from a document complete elsewhere, her doubtful title to her divine name.
See, it just line after line is so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So we have this immortal Godhead's perishable parts. Now, why should Godheads have perishable parts when they take a human body?
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, she has to reconstitute from these lost fragments, and she has to reword from this document that's somewhere else her
Mm-hmm.
doubtful title to her divine name. And he
Mm-hmm.
capitalizes name. It's so important. Okay, we're going to carry on now because this is very important.
A residue, her sole inheritance, all things she carries in her shape, all things she carries in her shapeless dust.
Okay, and I have to go to 108.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it. Okay,
I finished these 2 lines in 107. A residue, her sole inheritance, all things she carries in her shapeless dust. You don't have those lines?
yeah, I have those two. Yeah,
Oh,
sure.
all right. Should I carry on?
Yeah, because it's talking about this creative force, which is for us the divine Shakti,
Mm,
who is now not exactly the divine Shakti anymore because she becomes nature, and
mm,
nature is susceptible to errors and mistakes.
mm.
And he's going to go on with this.
Okay. Her
Her
giant, her giant energy tied to petty forms in the slow tentative motion of her power with only frail blunt instruments for use. She has accepted as her nature's need and given to man as his stupendous work, a labor to the gods impossible.
So now we see what's happening. That the gods,
Mm,
who are fixed beings, cannot do the work that man can do.
mm,
Because the gods don't want to take birth as a man or woman.
yeah.
So Her giant energy, yes, it's a tremendous energy, but it's tied to petty forms.
Mm,
In that slow, tentative, provisional, we can say unsure, uncertain motion of her power,
mm,
with only frail, blunt instruments for use, that's us,
mm.
she has accepted as her nature's need and given to man as his stupendous work, a labor to the gods impossible.
A life living hardly in a field of death, its portion claims of immortality. A brute half conscious body serves as means, a mind that must recover a knowledge lost, held in stone grip by the world's inconscience, and wearing still these countless knots of law, a spirit bound, stand up as nature's king.
So he's going to lead us into this last line. Huh?
Mhm.
So we see that the life here, it's hardly living in this field of death.
Mm,
We're born, and the moment we're born, we begin to die.
mhm,
100 years, 150, doesn't matter. But we still claim a portion of immortality.
mm,
This human being, because God is dwelling within us.
yeah.
So a brute half conscious body, well, that's what I have, I can say, serves as means. So the means is the bodies we take at birth and the mind that has to recover this knowledge that has been lost. It
Mhm,
was there, it still is there, it's there for all of us if we
mm,
can rise into the spiritual planes of being. And it is held in a stone grip. Isn't that an incredible line? Held
mm,
in stone grip by the world's inconscience. So Sri Aurobindo in the Life Divine says to us, the inconscience is an inverse reproduction of the supreme superconscience.
mm,
This is interesting. It has the same absoluteness of being and automatic action, but in a vast, involved trance.
mm,
It is being lost in itself, plunged in its own abyss of infinity.
mhm,
Wow. So, and wearing still these countless knots of law. Now, this is an interesting thing that Ranganath has said to me. He said that, and Sri Aurobindo says it too, that we have to be able to change the laws as our consciousness changes.
mm,
Because what good is a fixed law if we are above that law?
mhm,
Interesting.
yeah.
And in the human cycle, he says, law is necessary for order and stability, but it becomes a conservative and hampering force unless it provides itself with an effective machinery for changing the law as soon as circumstances and new needs make that desirable.
Yeah.
Very clear, very, very clear. So, um,
A spirit mind.
yeah, yeah, we are spirits. We are.
Mm,
What was it that? Uh, okay, it's the one who called it the new sphere, and,
mm,
and he said that we are not human beings living in a spiritual quest.
We're
We're
spiritual beings.
beings, yes, yes. So this spirit has to stand up. Although it's bound, it has to stand up eventually as
Mhm,
nature's king.
mhm.
So you can go on now.
Yeah. A mighty kinship is this daring's cause.
Yes, it's a daring cause, but
Mm,
there's a mighty kinship. That kinship is that we're all together in
yeah.
doing this. And now he's going to tell us again.
All we attempt in this imperfect world looks forward or looks back beyond time's gloss to its pure idea and firm inviolate type in an absolute creation's flawless skill.
And I believe that those of us who have turned to the yoga,
Mm,
um, we do look forward or we look back beyond this kind of gloss of time.
mhm,
And everything that we attempt in this imperfect world
mhm,
is is linked to this pure idea and
mm,
this firm, uh, inviolate, unable to be violated or profaned,
mm.
inviolate type in what? In an
An
absolute creation's
absolute
flawless skill. And then this is a beautiful lines.
to seize the absolute in shapes that pass, to fix the eternal's touch in time made things. This is the law of all perfection here.
In all the earlier editions
Mm,
before 1993 edition, the line was to feel the eternal's touch in time made things.
mm,
But when I questioned Richard Hart's pretty strongly on this,
mm.
he took 3 years to answer my questions and
Oh,
came to me one day and showed me the manuscripts.
huh.
And Sri Aurobindo had changed it to fix the
Oh,
eternal touch. So you
mm.
see how all before that, and I love that line to feel the eternal's touch
Yeah.
in made things. But he showed me, this one after the other, these documents. So to seize the absolute in shapes that pass. Oh my gosh. In other words, we have to see the divine in everything
Mhm.
and in ourselves too. And that's the toughest one to
Mm,
fix the eternal's touch in time made things, in all these things that are made by time.
mm.
To this is the law of all perfection here. And now we have to go on because he has so much more to tell us.
A fragment here is caught of heaven's design. Else could we never hope for greater life, and ecstasy and glory could not be.
So it seems that this is true. Huh? We
Mm,
have caught a fragment of
mhm.
heaven's design, or we wouldn't be here. I
Yeah.
mean, those of us who are open to Sri Aurobindo and the yoga.
Mm,
And we couldn't even hope for a greater life. And even ecstasy and glory could not be.
yeah.
And then he's going to tell us a little bit more about ourselves, our littleness, our prison house. Okay.
Even in the littleness of our mortal state, even in this prison house of outer form, a brilliant passage for the ineffable flame is driven
Uh,
through gross.
in infallible flame.
Yeah. A brilliant passage for the infallible flame is driven through gross walls of nerve and brain. A splendor presses, or a power breaks through. Earth's great dull barrier is removed awhile. The inconscient seal is lifted from our eyes, and we grow vessels of creative might.
Whew. a lot there.
Yes.
A couple of things I wanted to point out for you, and I've got just so many things here now. Even in the littleness of our mortal state, even in this prison house of outer form, because the body is a prison house.
Mm-hmm.
There, the soul resides within, the psychic being resides within, but it's still a prison house. We can't fly like birds.
Yeah.
We can't run like deer. We don't have the power of lions and tigers. So it's basically a prison house of outer form, just outer form. And still, it's a brilliant passage for the infallible flame. Oh,
Mm.
so we are a passage for that flame. And that flame is driven through gross walls of nerve and brain. And then he says, a splendor presses on us, or
Mm.
a power breaks through. And I think this is the true love, the splendor,
Mhm.
and this power that breaks through what? Through Earth's great dull barrier is removed a while. The inconscient seal is lifted from our eyes, and we grow vessels of creative might.
Mhm.
I think that's a good place to end.
Yes.
We've got a lot to read.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. All here is driven by an insentient will. Thus fallen, inconscient, frustrate, dense, inert, sunk into inanimate and torpid drowse, earth lay, a drudge of sleep, forced to create by a subconscient yearning memory, left from a happiness dead before she was born, an alien wonder on her senseless breast. This mire must harbor the orchid and the rose. From her blind, unwilling substance must emerge a beauty that belongs to happier spheres. This is the destiny bequeathed to her, as if a slain god
Bequeathed.
bequeathed,
Bequeathed. Bequeathed.
bequeathed. This is the destiny bequeathed to her, as if a slain god left a golden trust to a blind force and an imprisoned soul. An immortal Godhead's perishable parts she must reconstitute from fragments lost, reword from a document complete elsewhere, her doubtful title to her divine name. A residue, her sole inheritance, all things she carries in her shapeless dust. Her giant energy tied to petty forms, in the slow tentative motion of her power, with only frail blunt instruments for use, she has accepted as her nature's need and given to man as his stupendous work, a labor to the gods impossible. A life living hardly in a field of death, its portion claims of immortality. A brute half conscious body serves as means, a mind that must recover a knowledge lost, held in stone grip by the world's inconscience, and wearing still the countless knots of law, a spirit bound, stand up as nature's king. A mighty kinship is this daring's cause. All we attempt in this imperfect world looks forward or looks back beyond time's gloss to its pure idea and firm inviolate type in an absolute creation's flawless skill. To seize the absolute in shapes that pass, to fix the eternal's touch in time made things. This is the law of all perfection here. A fragment here is caught of heaven's design.
Fragment.
A fragment here is caught of heaven's design. Else could we never hope for greater life, and ecstasy and glory could not be. Even in the littleness of our mortal state, even in this prison house of outer form, a brilliant passage for the infallible flame,
Infallible.
a brilliant passage for the infallible flame is driven through gross walls of nerve and brain. A splendor presses or a power breaks through. Earth's great dull barrier is removed awhile. The inconscient seal is lifted from our eyes, and we grow vessels of creative might.
I have to leave.
Yes. Thank you so
See you,
much.
see you
See you.
Thursday. Namaste.
Namaste.